Welcome to the Wealth Embodied podcast. I'm your host, Brianna Faringer, an attorney, spiritual guide, and wealth activator. I'm here to help you align your mindset for abundance and break through any glass ceilings with money. If you're ready to embrace your highest calling, manifest with more ease, and create a life that feels lighter and more aligned, then let's dive in. Hello, welcome to the Wealth Embodied podcast. I'm your host, Brianna. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am going to talk about something, I've actually talked about it before, but it's in a different context, and it's around decision making, but it's really about exploring where you are waiting for perfect information to come into your life before you take action on things. So this is really about the cost of waiting and how perfectionism blocks your money flow. And not needing perfect information to take action or to be able to build wealth. Before I get started, there is construction going on in my building. So I'm just, yes, these episodes are edited, but I'm just saying this because there's a lot happening in my building right now, and my dog barks, and there's people walking in the hallway, and there's people knocking on my door. So if that happens, I apologize in advance, but this is life, and this is about not being perfect. And so I actually think this is an interesting time for this to be happening, because it really is about not needing to be perfect all the time. So I'm going to talk about this in the context of a couple things where I see this come up a lot. This can come up in a lot of places. I see this happen a lot with people, though, around investing, which is one thing I'm going to talk about. And because I'm a lawyer, I see it happen with people around estate planning. So planning for what is going to happen to their assets, and if they have children, what is going to happen to their children when they pass away. So, but I do see this all the time, not just with people that I work with, it's with kind of like all around me. I see it on TikTok. I see this talked about all the time. And I see it in other people. And it's interesting because I used to be somebody who would wait to do things until I had perfect information. I do take action very quickly. When I decide something, I move really quick. But there were definitely certain things in my life where I felt like I couldn't move forward if I didn't have more information. And I think you have to take this on a case-by-case basis. There are some things that happen in your life that, yes, you need to do a lot of research and get information for yourself to figure out if it's the right thing to do. Most things are not like that, though. And what I would say is if you are continually putting off making a decision because you're waiting for more information, I would say there becomes a point at which you just need enough information. So there's some things that happen where you're not going to know everything before you move forward, number one. And two, even if you do, it may not change the direction that you go. And so using investing is a perfect example of that. A lot of people think they need to know everything before they can invest. Look, if you knew everything, you would be doing better than every single financial advisor out there, or you'd be doing the same as them. They know a lot, and they're still not really beating the market average. If you're a financial advisor listening to this, don't take offense to that, but I do think statistically that's true. Most advisors are not beating the market average, which means as an individual who is not an advisor or has a huge amount of expertise in financial products or in investing in the market or things like that, you can learn enough to be able to make educated decisions to move forward. And that's what I'm going to talk about more. By the way, I'm not a financial advisor. I do have a lot of financial background and education just as a tax lawyer, but I also am not a financial advisor. And this is something I've gone through myself is, determining what products to invest in, what retirement accounts I want to have, getting enough information for myself so that I'm not just not doing it. Because here's the thing, waiting costs you a lot. It really does, especially when we're talking about investing in your future. And this is something I know a lot of people don't like to talk about or they find it stressful, but I feel like it's a topic that's come up a lot for me more recently, and which is why I want to talk about it, because I want to encourage people to move on things that they really need to move on and stop procrastinating or whatever the thing is. Investing is one of them. If you are not planning for your future, please do so. If you're 20 years old, okay, maybe that's a different story. But if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, You need to know if you have enough money saved or enough money being put away for the kind of life that you want to live. And I know people that are nearing that point and do not even come close to having enough. And I see it all the time in my practice with people that owe the IRS money. They can't pay the IRS, but they also don't have any money whatsoever, not even in savings, to be able to pay for emergencies when they come up. And that's a very daunting thing to be facing when you're in your 80s. So this episode is not specifically about investing, but it is one place that it comes up. So, but I want you to think about this as we go through this topic, is how many opportunities have you missed because you were waiting for the right time or the perfect plan or the perfect information? Where have you said, I can't move forward until I know X? Sometimes you may not be able to move forward until you have a little bit more information about something, but sometimes you have to recognize where you have enough to be able to make a decision and stop wasting time, valuable time that you could be using to build wealth, or with anything in your life, even if it's just not about money. You don't need to have perfect information. And so, there are times when I think a lot of us go through this wanting to know everything before we can take action on something. Most decisions in our life are not life and death. They can be changed. They can be fixed if something does not go the way that you want them to. For example, if today you just say, I'm going to stop procrastinating on putting money into an investment, and you just put it into an investment, you're probably going to grow it more, unless you're putting it in something that's very risky, than just wasting 6 to 12 months or even more by not putting that money somewhere. I mean, at a minimum, it should be going into a high yield savings account. Again, I'm not a financial professional. I'm not giving anybody financial advice, but these are just things that it's like, at a minimum, you should have money sitting in a high yield savings account if you don't know what to do with it. At least you should be earning around 4% interest. I know a lot of banks that were offering 4% are going down a little bit right now because rates have gone down, but at least put money somewhere so that it's making you something. But don't just put money in a high yield savings account. You are not going to save enough money putting your funds in a high yield savings account, more likely than not. You need to be thinking about, how can I put this somewhere else that's going to make me more money in the long run, because you have more growth and the interest is going to compound, right? The interest and growth is going to compound more over time. So not knowing everything is okay, because you can change it. So if you put money in a brokerage account today, that's fine. In 6 months, you can move it somewhere else if you really need to. It's not life or death. It's just money. I say this all the time. Money is actually not that big of a deal. It's only a big deal if you make it a big deal. And you can always make more money. So if you're constantly thinking like, how am I going to make sure I don't lose money in the market? That's not going to happen. Everybody loses money in the market. These are long-term investments for the most part, or long-term investments if you're thinking about putting your money somewhere else, whether it's real estate or other types of products, to make sure that you have money for the future. And this is a good time to talk about this right now, because I don't think things are going well in our economy. And more than ever, it seems really important for me, like thinking about people that they can't get by a week or two without paychecks. And I know that's something that's just always going to happen, I think, in our country. I hope that's not always the case, but I think right now it is. But if you are a person who is not living at the poverty level, you should be able to start putting some money away, getting to the point where you can live for a month or 2 or 3 or 4 without income coming in, right? So this is just like, what I'm talking about is also like saving money just in general. Don't wait for the perfect thing. Start doing something today. Even if it's $25, $50, whatever it is, it's better than nothing. This is what people don't realize. You're costing yourself money by not doing something today. And so, we have this illusion that perfect information exists, and it doesn't. The market changes, life changes, people change, and waiting for the perfect information is actually a form of avoidance, or kind of a disguised fear as maybe, I need to be responsible and I need to learn more about this. You're never always going to know everything, especially when it comes to the market, you guys. You're not. And the reason that this, I've actually seen this play out in real life, and I've used this example before, but over the summer, I was in a program that was essentially giving you information so that you could learn how to manage your own portfolio, if you choose to do that. This is not learn how to become a financial advisor. This is not learn everything about the market. This is how can you learn enough to feel confident that you can make decisions about your own investments and your own portfolio so that you do not get stuck not making investments at all. It's kind of this along this exact kind of topic that I'm talking about. And there was a person in the group who was lovely and clearly very intelligent. And it seemed to me like this person it didn't matter what was being learned inside the program. This person had decided that she could not move forward with making any investments until she had done more research on things, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with doing more research. But the thing was, everyone else in the group was actually, we had gotten to the point where we had been making decisions. We decided on, we'd done research. We had looked at things that we wanted to invest in. We had started making investments. And there was this one person that just couldn't get there. And again, this is okay. This is not a judgment. But it was a really good learning experience for me because I could see what was happening, from the outside, is that this person was waiting for perfect information. There's no such thing as perfect information, especially not in the market. And wanting to research more and more and learn more, there's nothing wrong with that. But don't do it at the, detriment of your own future. Like, put money in something now. Like, we learned enough information to be able to make a decision now. And it was interesting to watch this play out because I could tell that this person was very much a perfectionist. And that was me 10 years ago. And I remember being like, oh my gosh, this would have been me 10 years ago if I had been in this program. And so it was a really good thing for me to see because it was a good reminder of like, oh, I've actually grown a lot and I've come to a place where, yeah, I can just learn that I don't have to have every single ounce of information. I can just get enough. But you're not waiting for clarity. You're usually avoiding discomfort or some sort of or avoiding the feeling like you're not trustworthy. That's not true. You need to get enough information for yourself so that you can make a confident decision. And this is something I've talked about before. Even if you're not waiting for the perfect decision or perfect information, you may be feeling like you're not good at decision making. If that's true, you need to get in the habit of making more decisions so that you have evidence for yourself and confidence so that you can continue to learn how to make decisions more quickly. The more that you don't make decisions, the harder it becomes to make decisions, right? Like it basically, I don't know, you're never going to get better. It's just a skill like everything else. You have to practice it. And the more you practice making decisions, the easier it becomes. So yeah, I talked about this when it comes to investing, and inaction has a real cost. It's not just financially, but it's energetically and emotionally. If you are constantly sitting on decisions, I've talked about this before, it's an energy leak. It's sucking energy from you, even though you don't consciously recognize it because it's sitting in your body and it's in your mind and it takes up space in your mind, even if you're not consciously thinking about it all the time. When you make a decision, the thing is over with and done and you move on. So it creates more space for you. But, I already kind of talked about investing, but this comes up with estate planning. So I don't do a lot of estate planning anymore, but I have done it more in the past. And something that I would see with people is they'll come to me and they want to move forward with an estate plan, right? They want to put things in place to make sure that their assets go where they want when they pass, that the proper people they have in place to administer their assets or make medical or financial decisions for them if they're still alive but incapacitated, or more importantly, if they have children or pets and they want them to go to certain places or have people take care of them. The thing that will happen is I'll have people come to me and they want to do estate planning and then they will stop. Because when I tell them, oh, you have to assign all of these people jobs, right? You need to figure out who's going to who's going to have access to your financial accounts, who's going to make medical decisions for you if you become incapacitated, who's going to administer all of your assets if you pass away, who's going to get them all. Those are decisions that people have a hard time making, and that's okay because I know it makes people really have to confront what would happen when they pass. But this is the thing I see a lot. People will tell me, well, I can't figure out who I want for this thing. Just put somebody down. right? Because most estate plans people update every, I would say, 3 to 5 years. I've updated mine 3 times since I put mine in place, which is in 2016. The reason is because your life changes, people change, things change. You may have somebody that's in your estate plan that you no longer want in your estate plan. You may have somebody that's supposed to be a power of attorney for you that you no longer want to be power of attorney for you. That's okay. Things are going to change. So what I tell people is it's better to get a plan in place today that you can be okay with than to wait for the perfect information or wait until you feel like, oh, this is the perfect person to do this job, or this is who I absolutely want to inherit. It needs to get to a place where you're like, okay, I have enough information to make a decision today so that something is in place that I can live with, and then I can change it. And this will come up as particularly around children, and I understand it, because if you have an estate plan, you need to put in it who you want to take care of your children if you pass. And that's a big decision to make, but that is a hard decision for a lot of people. And the more time you wait, the more you risk passing and not having control over what happens to either your children or your assets when you die. And that to me is a much worse fate. Some people say, I don't really care because I'll be dead. But that's true. But it's like, if you really care today in the moment, what happens to your assets, what happens to your children, who helps, administer your assets and make sure things get where they go, just get something in place. It does not have to be perfect, because that will create such a huge amount of relief for you, and it clears up so much energy. But I have people who will contact me for estate planning and they say they want to move forward, and then I won't hear from them for a year, because they just simply can't sit down and make a decision about what they want to put in it. And it's just not that hard. It's not that difficult, you guys. These are things that are good for us to have to do. It forces you to go through growth that you might not otherwise go through on your own. So I don't know. To me, I'm just the kind of person, like, a lot of times it's better to have something in place than to have nothing in place. And estate planning is one of those things. So if you haven't done an estate plan, particularly if you have children, you should very much consider it. You can reach out to me if you want help with that. But yeah, you can always adjust later. You can always make adjustments later. You can rebalance investments. You can revisit your will. You can update plans. You can change things. There's so few things that can't be changed, you guys. And we treat everything like it's the biggest decision of our lives. It's not. Right? That would be like saying you're going to wait to go to the gym until you're in shape. You don't go to the gym when you're in shape. You go there to get in shape. Right? And so it's like you have to take action towards the things that you want to achieve. It can't be perfect before you begin. It can't be perfect before you start. It's not going to be. If you are a perfectionist, this is one way for you to try to get out of this. If you need help with that, let me know. This is the kind of stuff I work with people one-on-one, and I've shifted it myself. And I had an experience recently where the old version of me would have approached this task or this thing that I had happening in my life thinking I had to do it perfectly. And I kept saying to myself, Brianna, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be X, right? Like, you just need to be X% of 100 on this thing. It doesn't need to be 100%, because the old version of me would be trying to do this particular task I was doing with perfection. And I had to keep reminding myself, you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to put that much energy in this. You just need to do enough to be able to get through this obstacle, basically, to get to this next step. So I have to constantly remind myself also. And if I find myself being in a situation where I'm trying to be too perfect, I say, how can I just allow myself space to just be me and allow what happens to happen without perfection being what's controlling the narrative? The universe does not reward hesitation. It responds to action. So when you start taking action towards things, you are going to have things happen in your life. I'm going to say this again. Do not wait to invest or save money. If you are listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, I've been needing to open an investment account, do it this week. Just open one. Find a brokerage. You don't need a financial advisor to start investing in very basic things. There's a lot of places that offer things that are called growth funds. which is like, depending on when you need to retire, this is the kind of investment that they think you should put your money into based on risk and how long you have. Now, is that perfect? No, it's not, but it's better than you doing nothing today, right? You can put your money there and then you can move it. If you need to, don't get into this idea that like, I have to have all the information before I can do anything. If you've been wanting to open a high yield savings account, go find one and open it today. Go find one that has the highest interest rate and open it today. Don't wait. If it's not at your bank, it doesn't matter. I have bank accounts all over the place, and I do it based on the deals that I get, not on convenience. So stop waiting and start moving forward. You're never going to have the perfect information. What's one financial decision that you've been delaying? Think about one thing and start taking action towards it this week. That doesn't mean you have to do the thing this week. It means take action towards it. So like I just said, if you're like, oh my God, I've been needing to open a savings account, do it. Or at least go and just be like, okay, I'm going to open it at this place and just settle on the financial institution. And then next week, open it. And then next week, put in $25. Keep moving forward. If it's investing, open an account and deposit something, even if it's only $5. If it's estate planning, schedule a consultation with somebody or start writing down, these are the things I would want to happen when I pass. If it's business related, launch the idea in draft form and you can refine it later. Focus on momentum, not mastery. This is just about stopping I have to have all of the right information before I can do X. No, you don't. Sometimes you need to start moving towards the thing so that you can get feedback to figure out the direction you're going. That's the thing that I have learned is like, I think something's going to go a certain way and I may have all the perfect, I think all the perfect information. And then I start moving and things around me start to happen completely differently than I thought, which by the way, happens all the time. So it doesn't even matter if you have perfect information or what you think is perfect information. Once you move, things are going to happen around you that may change and impact the decision that you've now made. Fine. Now you have to work around that and maybe make changes. So just allowing yourself space from needing to be perfect, from having to know everything before you move forward. You do not. There's so few things that you need to know a lot of information about in order to move forward. I can tell you with absolute certainty, investing is not one of them. Estate planning is not one of them. Most financial decisions are not one of them. You can always, always, always change course. Or if you put money towards something and it doesn't feel aligned, fine. Figure out what you can learn from it. Everything is showing us something where we can learn. So every time you make a decision, even if it's an imperfect one, you're building evidence that you can trust yourself. And if you want a journal prompt, here's a good one. Where in my life am I waiting for perfect information before taking action? And what would happen if I just decided today? Like, how would you feel if you just moved on a decision today? And write all those things down. Would I feel scared? Would I feel relief? Would I feel joy? Would I feel happiness? All of the things that you would feel, and just kind of like feel into the decision more than think through the decision. I don't really think through decisions very much. I feel through them. And so sit down and recognize, how would I feel if I just decided on something today? You would probably feel proud of yourself for taking action. And you don't need information to be perfect. You just need the courage to start moving forward. So I hope that you can take something from this today. And again, I'm going to keep harping on this investment thing. If you do not have a savings account or you haven't, made any steps towards saving, retirement, start today. Please do not wait anymore. Something is better than nothing. And if you are in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and you have not met with somebody to figure out how much money you may need in the future, please, please, please make plans to do that or reach out to me and I can put you in touch with somebody. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good day. Bye. Hey, before you go, would you love to receive my 3-step masterclass to easily create and hold wealth for free? It's called Effortless Money, and it includes the exact framework to start attracting money effortlessly and manifesting abundance with more ease. If you want it for free, all you have to do is leave an honest review of the Wealth Embodied podcast, take a screenshot of this episode and put it in your Instagram stories and tag me at Brianna_Faringer, and we will send you the free Effortless Money Masterclass. This is how my clients have manifested a $13,000 check, a promotion resulting in a $30,000 salary increase, and significantly improved relationships. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you next time on the Wealth Embodied podcast.